Hello, Facebook, YouTube friends, and tonight we are actually streaming on LinkedIn as well too. So, welcome. We will get started in just a second. All right. While we're waiting for additional people to pile in, it's 7 o'clock. I always like to start right on time. If there are any property addresses that anyone has top of mind, I always like to do a couple examples real time. I did cherry pick a few houses, a couple that I feel like are good deals in my neck of the woods. I'm in southeastern Michigan, kind of a Detroit boy, so to speak. So I tend to focus a lot on that area just because that's where I'm from and that's where I know it like the back of my hand. But I get people that trip across my webinars from all over the country. So this week I've talked to somebody in New York. For some reason, investment properties, multi units are becoming a hot topic in some communities, and my name's getting tossed around a little bit. So I have examples in markets like New York, Los Angeles, Cincinnati, and Miami, all sitting on tremendous amounts of down payment assistance money. So, for example, right now, New York, I actually found one for $360,000 in down payment assistance money. Miami consistently has a couple hundred thousand. LA is consistently sitting at about 160,000 for their county program, and I think I had one today. Cincinnati was 50,000, and then of course, like I said, the Detroit area, plenty of money there, anywhere from 25. Some areas of the city right now, we're still sitting on money for the Tobias Harris program. That's up to $75,000 for Detroit residents. So lots of programs out there. Always like to run scenarios, let people know, hey, Joy Road 48204. I think that might even be a qualifying zip code for the Harris Tobias program. You know what, Nettie, I will look that up. I don't have a chance to do it now, but I'll look it up towards the end and let you know exactly how much money sits out there. So thank you for sharing that address. So with that being said, I'm going to jump right into it. Any questions along the way, please throw them in the chat box. I will always circle back, go through every single question. I'll be here as long as you have questions. I'm in for the duration. So let's get things going. I always like to record these webinars to share it with the people that can't make it. I know people that sign up. I think today we had, oh gosh, probably 60 or 70 people that signed up, and everybody's busy. So I get it. So our lives get pulled in different directions. So I always like to record these webinars. If you're ever looking for previously recorded ones, they're always pushed out to YouTube and Facebook. Facebook only holds them for 30 days, but YouTube is indefinite. So if you go to my Own the Roof channel on YouTube, you can see all of my previously recorded webinars. They just look under the live events area and you'll see those. So and I do have those available for my credit repair webinars that people always have a heightened level of interest in those too. So let's get this recording going forward. All right, so let's jump right into this. So today we're going to focus on, why rent when you can own the roof. So many down payment assistance programs out there. I'm going to show you, first of all, how do we find these programs? Okay. I have a website called owntheroof.com. If you look under the program search area, and I'll go there shortly, that's where I go to see all the programs that are currently available. And when I say programs, I'm talking about grants and down payment assistance programs, everything that's out there. Actually, our database right now just surpassed 3,000 different programs. It's telling us 4, but I think there's a lot of duplicates in there. So there is a tremendous amount of money on the federal level, state level, and local municipal level So lots of money out there. You just need to know where to find it, number one. And number two, you got to connect yourself with someone that knows how to navigate the waters here. It's not rocket science, but if you work with people that know what they're doing, it is possible to stack a lot of these programs. And I'll show you some examples right out of the gate. So, so let's cut right to the chase here. I want to give you some success stories. These are people that have purchased homes with me over the past few months, and the different types of programs that we were able to get into along with the homes. Okay. Because there are a lot of homes out there that are for sale right now. I find that quality homes, that's a different subject. So I like to make sure that we always introduce people to quality homes just to make sure people aren't buying headaches. So there's no shortage of sellers out there just throwing lipstick on houses to try and get people's attention. And we try to do our best to coach people to navigate around those. So here is the first person. Let's see. This is actually Nate and Chelsea. So Nate and Chelsea purchased this home out in White Lake Township, Michigan. Okay. Nate actually qualified for a $14,000 down payment assistance program to purchase this $260,000 home. And what's nice about it, this house actually qualified for a free solar package. Now, we closed on this in the fall, so Nate hasn't had it installed yet. Haven't done any other programs, any other people on this program since, and that's only because we haven't really seen it start to finish. Okay. I don't like to recommend things unless we have a good track record, but actually, I introduced Nate to several different programs out there, and he brought this program to me. So every now and then people bring stuff to me, and it was a good fit, made sense. So we tried it out, but we haven't really gone the whole distance with it yet. I'll let you know in the spring when they install this solar package. Number one, does it really reduce his electric bill down to the minimal amount they were advertising? That's my biggest concern, because what they do is they actually put a free solar system on, but they put a lien on your house that's forgivable after you own it for several years. So I just want to make sure that the math all plays out. It looks good on the surface, and it was actually referred to Nate through a buddy of his that was a loan officer, so it kind of made sense. But until I run the whole distance, I can't speak to start to finish yet. This next person, this is Kenneth. And Kenneth is a pretty special guy to me. We became friends along the process. He actually bought a home on Vaughn in Detroit. And Kenneth's situation was a little bit unique. Unique in the way that he was actually referred to me while he was sitting in his barber's chair. And I'll never forget that he called the day he called and said, "Hey, my barber told me to give you a call. I'm being pushed to the streets. I was renting this house with a friend of mine. He moved out, and then the landlord showed up and said, 'Hey, your friend moved out. You're not on the lease. You got to go.'" So as fate would have it, Kenneth was on a fixed income. So all he had was Social Security income. So don't let anyone tell you you cannot buy a house on fixed income. Okay. Is it a little bit of a challenge? Yes. But I'm always up for those types of challenges. I always tell people patience and persistence, and we will find something. So now when Kenneth was referred to me, he actually worked with an agent for a short period of time. And that agent showed him some houses actually on a street that I grew up on Lamphere in Detroit. It's actually in the, many people know, Finkel and Lasser area. It's Brightmoor area. So Brightmoor presents its own set of challenges. And the house that he was kind of pushing Kenneth into needed a lot of work. And when we met, I got him approved for the down payment assistance program, did it all within just a few hours because his credit was that good. And we took a look at the house that he was kind of being pushed into. And I was like, "Kenneth, we can definitely do better." So we went out and looked for a couple of days, and we ended up finding this house on Vaughn that was totally redone. And the gentleman that was doing this house, and it was actually a flip, was doing a pretty solid job. You can see the picture of the kitchen. Nice job. He redid the siding, new roof, basement was dry. And so a very predictable house. So we were able to get Kenneth in for $95,000. And we used a $10,000 down payment assistance program. I think his payments came in at about I think it was 720 something for his payments. So less than what you'd pay for a 1-bedroom apartment. And that was one of the things that was really important to Kenneth because he's a musician. He likes to play his music. So he didn't want to be in an apartment. And he wanted something that he can enjoy for the rest of his days. Now, I don't want to make him sound old. He's actually we're pretty close in age. So, but anyways, just loved working with Kenneth. It was a little bit of a challenge just because he did find himself couch surfing for a little while. And I think we put him up in a hotel for a couple of weeks because the couch surfing just wore thin. And there were a couple little hiccups that popped up. But the good news, we got him across the finish line. And while he was in the hotel, he actually acquired this dog. He calls him Maestro. So happy to say Maestro and Kenneth are doing quite well. So anyways, very, very happy for Kenneth. This next person, Shannon, was actually referred to me from a few people that I helped that work at Kroger. And they actually work at the Kroger at 8 Mile in Wyoming. So fortunate enough to meet a few people there and were able to sell them houses. And then they referred me Shannon. So Shannon was someone that just doesn't care to drive. And I find that that's a growing segment of the population right now. There's a lot of crazy drivers out there. So our goal was to find something close to that Kroger. And we were successful. We found this brick ranch. This is a 1950s brick ranch. And anytime I hear 50s brick anything, I get excited because in my mind, if you grew up in southeastern Michigan, you know 50s brick houses are probably, in my opinion, the best construction this country's ever seen. You give me a 50s brick house with a good roof and a dry basement and maybe some updated windows, there's not a lot that goes sideways. Maybe a furnace or a water heater, but they're very, very predictable houses. So anyways, Shannon actually qualified for a zero down grant program through Flagstar Bank, where we didn't get any money, but there was no mortgage insurance and it's a conventional loan. So we were able to get her in with just a couple $1,000s out of pocket. And this was a 3-bedroom brick ranch, 2-car detached garage, and it was within a few blocks of where she worked. So it worked out quite well for her. This next one, this is Emily. Emily is near and dear to my heart. I was very blessed the day that I met Emily. Emily actually, Emily's one of the few people, she taught me as much as I taught her. And with that being said, Emily's one of those people that she just knows how to get things done. So now, Emily was coming from a situation where her landlord was trying to push her into buying the house she was renting. She didn't really want to do that, but felt like she almost had to. Anyways, we were able to get her approved for not one program, but it was, I think, 4 programs. We got her a $25,000 down payment assistance program that's forgivable after a few years. We piggybacked that with a 3% gift program from a local bank. In addition, a $5,000 closing costs credit and a $500 to cover her appraisal grant. So she ran the table. So Emily purchased the house that she's in for $117,800. And we were able to get $33,000 in free money. As long as she owns the home for a few years, she gets to keep it all. And what's even more precious, and Emily doesn't mind me sharing the story, Emily was the first person to successfully buy a home through the Detroit Housing Commission. So if anybody works with any housing commission, has any type of Section 8 vouchers, and they have a home buying program, Emily was the first one to get it done. Now, those programs have been around for 5 years. And I told Emily, I've never successfully seen anybody complete the program, but you don't know Emily. She knows how to get things done. So she was able to get the documentation to get across the finish line. And more importantly, She was the first person to ever buy a home through the Detroit Housing Commission. And even today, you ask somebody in the Housing Commission buying department, they all know who Emily is because she really kicked the door in for a lot of people. Since then, I think there's been about 13 people, not as many as they'd hoped for yet, but I know they are ramping up for a lot more. So if you have any friends or family anywhere in the country, these programs are available. Where if you have anyone that receives any type of assistance from a home housing voucher, there, I would say about 20 or 25% of all the housing commissions offer a purchase program. So not rocket science, but there is a process to it. So please reach out to me. Actually, since then, I've been able to help a few people purchase homes with their housing vouchers. All right, next one. Success story. Oh, Tashiana, she purchased this home using the $25,000 down payment assistance program. She purchased this for $123,000. Brian purchased this home in Inkster using $10,000 from the state of Michigan. So he bought it with just a couple $1,000 out of pocket, a few thousand, I should say, and his payments are below $1,200 a month. And last but not least, this is Deborah. Deborah was the first person to close on the Harris Tobias program. This is a $75,000 down payment assistance program available to Detroit residents in 9 zip codes. Okay, so she was able to use that $75,000, and then her landlord, bless him, he gave her a $41,000 gift of equity because that's what we needed to get the deal done. So he promised to sell her this house at a certain price, and he was a man of his word. LaDon, great man. Actually, he just referred me another one of his tenants to use on the Harris Tobias program just yesterday. So she was able to purchase this home. It's actually in the University District on Cherry Lawn. So with only $1,500 out of pocket, and I think her payments were $800 a month. So excited for her. This is again up there with Emily. This is one of the bigger wins I've had in my career. So lots of money out there, lots of success stories. And I always tell people, these people were once like you. Most of these, actually, with the exception of maybe Nate, the first person, everyone else is a byproduct of my webinars. So I tend to love teaching people how to tap into these programs, get approved, and structure the transactions to get in with very little money out of pocket. So if you're interested, go to my website, and I'll put that in here right now. It's called owntheroof.com. And let's get this in here. Actually, let me do this. I will put this in first. Here is a link to my calendar. So I always tell people, book a call with me. Okay. Schedule some time. I want to know your situation. Okay. What I like to do is learn where you are, put myself in your shoes, and I'll tell you exactly what programs we need to do, exactly what we need to do to get your finances or credit or whatever it needs in order to get where you need to be in order to qualify for some of these programs. Okay. So for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is John Collins. I have been in real estate since 1987. And during that time, I was sold real estate in the 80s, early 90s. And then I spent well over 20 years in the mortgage business. That's how I learned to tap into a lot of these programs and structure these deals to get people across the finish line. And, like most people that were in sales, be it real estate or mortgages, for years, I found myself just chasing after one transaction after another, really just trying to be a top salesman in whatever I did. And then about 15 years ago, when I actually owned a mortgage company, had an interest in a title company, and then all of a sudden, one day, somebody comes to me and we realize somebody is embezzling. What a hard fall. Okay. Took everything. So took financially bankrupt, mentally bankrupt, and physically bankrupt. So I have been humbled in ways that can't even describe. But it wasn't until had to get back up on that treadmill, because I still had 4 kids at home. I still had to put food on the table. I realized that, do I really want to rebuild to be a salesperson, or do I want to be the person that helps someone? So this is kind of like my second career. Started about 15 years ago, and I gained a passion for learning about these programs and learning about how they've been available for years, but most of the people I talked to were like, don't bother with them. There's no money in that. There's no this, you can't. Trust me, I've heard every excuse in the world, so I never dove into it until about 15 years ago. And when I did, holy cow, I have been running with it ever since. I started out posting ads on Craigslist saying, hey, why rent when you can buy this house with a couple $1,000s? From there, I went over to Marketplace. And then about 4 years ago, I started doing these webinars. And once I discovered these webinars, I get to help so many more people on a much larger scale. So this is so exciting for me, because I get to help people and actually make a living at it. So with that being said, let's move along here. What are down payment assistance programs? Okay. Down payment assistance programs and grants. So typically what we want to do is we always want to try to tap into grants first. Grants are free money. So why wouldn't we grab that first? Now, if we're fortunate enough, we can get down payment assistance and add grants on top of it, like we did for Emily and a few other people. Okay. So ideally, we want grants first, then down payment assistance. Now, there are a few different types of down payment assistance. There are down payment assistance programs where you get free use of the money. State of Michigan, they'll give you $10,000. You never make a payment on it. You don't pay any interest. But when you sell the house, they want the money back. There's other programs where they'll give you the money, and as long as you own the house for 3, 5, 7 years, you get to keep all the money. Not a bad deal. And then there are other programs where they'll lend you the down payment and you have to make payments along the way. I try to avoid those. Most of the stuff that I use is either free money or free use of the money. Okay. And then, of course, all of the grants. Now, with regards to the different types of grants, some are free, some you got to own the property for an extended period of time. Now, what are the eligibility requirements? That runs the gamut. Okay. There are some grants that have no credit requirements. Okay. They're harder to find, but they are out there. Okay. So if you don't have to have the best credit to get across the finish line. Now, I actually do a credit building webinar, and I do this because a lot of people need help. Okay. Right now, with the way things are, it is tough out there. So let me give everyone a link. Here is the link to my credit building webinar. So if anybody needs help on that, please sign up. I think my next one is in a couple of weeks. I do them on Saturdays at 9 a.m. If you can't wait that long, just schedule a call with me. I'm always happy to learn your situation and tell you what I would do. And the reason I feel like I'm a good person to do this, remember I told you I spent over 20 years in the mortgage world? Well, when my world collapsed, I had a pretty substantial bankruptcy. And I will tell you, 15 years ago, rebuilding after a bankruptcy was 10 times harder than it is right now. Right now, there are so many tools out there to build credit and get people where they need to be. I get excited trying to point people in the right direction for all the tools that are out there. So if you looking for some help a little bit sooner, like I said, schedule a call with me, or I have a few of those credit repair webinars on my Own the Roof channel on YouTube. Okay. Now, as far as those eligibility requirements, typically what you need to have, for the most part, if your credit scores are above a 580, there's options. Okay. If your credit scores are below a 580, we have to dig deeper to see if we can find some grants that we can use, because there are programs that you can use to purchase that will go down to about a 540 credit score right now, if we structure it the right way. Okay. They're harder to find. I don't want to make it sound like they're easy or plentiful. So, for example, a few people you saw in my examples, the City of Detroit program that was $25,000 comes around every year. It's a little late this year. That one has no credit score requirements. So actually, nobody that we mentioned tonight, but there were several people that I was able to get into that program that had credit scores in the mid 500s last go around. So it can be done. Okay, so don't let anybody tell you your credit needs to be perfect. It is not. This is not about perfection. This is about getting things in order so we can get you into home ownership and get you out of the rental trap that I find most people are in right now. So, and oddly enough, you'd think that rental trap is for the young. It's not. I would say the average person I work with is probably 50. I'm 62. So I don't know how. I'd love to really strike a chord with those younger audiences, the people they call them the Gen Ys and Zs. I think that's like whatever, 25 to 40. I'd love to get that audience excited. I feel like they're giving up on home ownership right now. And now a lot of people that I work with, don't get me wrong, it's better to buy now than to rent, just to lock that payment in. But I feel like those generations are giving up and missing out on opportunities to basically accumulate housing wealth over an additional 10, 20 years instead of prolonging that purchase. Try to get it in as soon as you can to build that wealth. Again, back to the eligibility requirements. Credit scores, as far as, like I said, 580 and above, you can do something right away. If you have income, your income typically cannot be any less. They don't want to see any more than 45% of your income going to your house payment and your overall debts. So what does that mean? That's what they call a debt to income ratio. So let's say, for example, if you have income of $4,000 a month, 45% of that is going to be $1,800 a month. If we take $1,800 and start subtracting debts, and the debts that they're concerned with are the ones on your credit report. So let's just say you've got a car payment of $400. $1,800 minus $400 is $1,400. Maybe $50 for credit cards and $50 for student loans, whatever. It takes you down to $1,300. So that $1,300 is the maximum that can go to your housing expense. Right now, that's buying about $150,000 house in my neck of the woods. So I am finding quality houses at that price range. Okay. If you've got more, then we spend more. Now, some of the people, if you're actually sitting in like the Tobias Harris area, oh my gosh, I've got people buying $200,000 houses and their payments are coming in $1,100 a month because that's $75,000 down on that program. So a lot of different ways to structure those transactions. Now, with regards to the income, they do want to see a consistent flow of income for the last 2 years. If you are on a fixed income, please schedule a call with me. I'll go over your numbers and let you know exactly the payment that we could possibly qualify for. And some of these programs get quite generous. So for example, I just had somebody we got approved this morning. Fixed income, Social Security. She gets $1,000 a month. We can actually increase that to $1,200 a month because it's not taxable. She also gets a housing voucher from one of the housing authorities, an additional $1,000 a month. We can add to her income. Now she's up to $2,200 a month. She actually had some other assistance for $400 a month that we could add to her income. All in all, boom, we've got her at a $1,200 house payment, which, like I said, that could buy about a $140,000 house. Now, tack on $75,000 down payment assistance, she's buying a $200,000 house for less than what you'd pay in a 2-bedroom apartment. And that's what I always like to compare things to. Because right now, the average 2-bedroom apartment across the country, and even in the Detroit metropolitan area, is actually $1,350 a month right now. Never thought I'd see a 2-bedroom apartment being that high on average in the Tri-County area. So those are just the surface eligibility requirements. Okay. The benefits of down payment assistance and grants, most of them, a lot of the ones I try to work with, we want to hit the ones you don't have to pay back. Okay. Free money. Okay. The common misconceptions that I run into with down payment assistance programs are that it's for the low income. It's not. Okay. 20% of the programs have no income restrictions. So keep that in mind. If you're a high income earner, I actually have somebody looking in Farmington Hills, okay, making about $90,000 a year, wants to buy a house for $350,000, and we were able to get him on a down payment assistance program. So it's going to cover 100% of his down payment. Now, what do? We find maybe ask the seller for some concessions or closing costs. There are a lot of different ways to work those and get those deals across the finish line with limited funds. Someone's asking, what about $250,000 to $300,000 home? All day. In fact, Reagan, I'm going to show you, I've got one house, I've got 3 houses that are coming on the market from an investor in Farmington Hills starting Monday. One is like my top pick. And if my wife would do it, I would actually consider moving into one of these houses because they're in Farmington Hills. They all sit on a huge parcels of land. And I don't know, there's just some tranquility. I'll go over where they are in just a few moments. And I'll actually run what down payment assistance programs it could qualify for. Okay. So let's move on. Any questions right now? All right. So first step we want to do, research programs. Hey, someone asked about one for $350, $200 to $300. I'll show you one right now. The one I was just mentioning, Farmington Hills. Okay. This is it. This is an old photo because it's not even on the market right now. And where did that go? Not there. Maybe. Here it is. Okay. It's on Freedom Road. Okay. 1950s, 3-bedroom brick ranch. Okay. This house right now, the Zestimate says $335. And that, we're actually going to be putting this one up at $340. I think it's off. Now, this house sits on 3.5 acres in Farmington Hills for $340,000. Probably not going to see that. That's the one I really liked. So, but that's wishful thinking. My wife and I are never moving again. I would actually think about this nice sprawling brick ranch in the woods, total privacy, really a nice fit. But let me get a feel for this. Let's see how many programs this one actually qualifies for. So what I'm going to do is, this is my website, owntheroof.com. Okay. You just go under the resources, program search, and then it's going to take you down to a link right here. Click here to search the programs. By the way, my team and I are coming up with an application that we are going to be launching in the next couple of weeks where we'll make everybody aware of it. We are so excited about the application where people can just download it, input an address anywhere in the US, and they'll see what programs are available. Let's see here. Farmington Hills. Cut. And paste. Okay, so Farmington Hills here qualifies for 15 different programs. Let's put in a sale price. See if this thins it out a little bit. Oh, need one more 0. Okay, so still 15 programs. Let's get details, and I'll enter my personal information here. All right, let's see what program. Okay, so when you use the app, enter your information, hit get more details, you're going to get an email like this. It's going to say, hey, congratulations, John. There's 15 programs, one offering $25,000. Okay. Now, state of Michigan offering $10,000. Michigan Housing Development Authority, $25,000. That one, I guess it recently got funding again. So usually if there are little asterisks next to it, they're out. Let's see. Energy Integrated Mortgage Program. This is a new one. $20,400, $17,000, $17,000. Here's the Federal Home Loan Bank of Indianapolis. Down, that one's actually out of money, 20,000. But you can see there's no shortage of programs. So worst case, someone could actually grab the 10,000 from the state of Michigan and your down payment's done. 3% down, 3.5% down. You're taken care of just with that 10,000. Now, that 10,000, that one you don't get to keep. You got to pay it back when you sell the house. If it's 10 years, 30 years, whatever, but you get free use of the state's money. Okay? That's like if that's as bad as it gets, it's still a great deal. So then all we have to do is worry about how we pay your closing costs. Now, this particular transaction, if we were looking at this house in Farmington Hills, heck, I'd just go to the seller and say, hey, instead of 340,000, what if we give you 345 and you give me 5,000 back to pay the closing costs? I do those types of transactions all the time. Okay. All right. Let me give you another one here. There is I didn't ask, what area are people in tonight? Here's one, for example, New York. Here's one in Detroit, because I always run into people that have fixed incomes. Okay. And here's one on Euclid, Detroit. It's actually a duplex. So one of the techniques for fixed income sometimes is if we have a limited amount of fixed income, we can purchase a duplex. And on that one, we can take the income from the second unit and add that to your income to get you to qualify. Okay. So great way to get people in. Not that everybody, in their golden years wants to be a landlord, but if you've got family members that can rent from you, that's a different story. Okay. So I get some people that purchase homes later, 50, 60 years old, that, hey, I need a roof over my head. It's the same as renting, so why not do it? But more importantly, I'm going to leave something to the kids, or I'll make sure that I always have a place for the kids to come back, because I don't know how your household is. Okay. I've been blessed with 4 kids. They're all doing very well. They're age 24 to 35, but there's always somebody coming home. Okay. That's just the way it is. So life is never boring in the Collins house. So life has the way of getting in the way of everybody's plans, no matter what the age is. Adrian's asking, 8 Mile and Lasher area. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Adrian, toss me an address. I'll throw it in later for you. So that area typically might qualify. Well, here's one. I can tell you, let me put the house that I grew up in. Let's go back here, give you a feel for it. One more. And that is 16801 Lamphere in Detroit, 48219. 21 programs. Get details. It's going to give us very similar data to your 8 Mile and Lasher. This is actually in Lasher, but when I enter this one, you're going to find that it's going to give us a little bit more than the program for Farmington Hills. It's going to give us 6 more programs, I think. 10,000, 10,000, 25, 20, 17, 17, 11. Here's 20,000 to the federal. But when you start looking at a $20,000 down payment assistance on a neighborhood that might be 100,000 in that area right now. So that's kind of like that's a Brightmoor area. The values just, you don't see too many that are above 100,000 in that Finkel-Lasser area. So anyways, still love going back there. Anybody from the area, shout out to Scotty's Fish and Chips. Love that place. Try to get back there as often as I can. So, all right, let me give you some of these other ones. If we have anybody from other states, let's try. This is one in Cincinnati. Okay, here's one, $275,000 in Cincinnati. It's a duplex. Okay, Cincinnati is a pretty good market for rents. You're going to find that maybe a 2-bedroom apartment might rent for $1,350, $1,400 there. And then let's see what's going to happen. I think we said the purchase price was 1.8 $275. So you might be looking at $2,000 payment. So if that's actually 2 units short-term, 2 vacant units short-term. Okay, they use this for short-term leases. One's a 3-bedroom. Okay, so you might get $1,500 for the 3-bedroom. But let's see what programs this one yields for us. $36 programs in Cincinnati. Crazy. I feel like sometimes we don't get as much as the rest of the country does. $50,000 for that $275,000 house. Crazy amounts of money. Like I said earlier, New York, 300 and something. Miami, 200. LA, 160. So if you've got scenarios outside the city of Detroit, please let me know. Always happy to run them for you. So any questions with regards to how to use this application? And right now it's not, the application will be surfacing soon, but as much, just go to the website, Own the Roof, put the information in. As much information as you enter, you're going to whittle this amount down. Okay. So next thing I want to go over, let's see what's next on our list here. Whoops. Okay, step 1, we covered that. Where to find the programs. Step 2, check your eligibility. Okay, if you're in that application, you can actually put in your income. It won't check the credit, but if you want to know what that is, reach out to me, schedule a call. I'll tell you exactly what the income qualifications are and the credit score qualifications are. Okay. I don't want to connect you with the lender unless there's a 90% chance you're going to get everything. Last thing I want to do is set you up for failure. Now, you're never going to hear the word no out of my mouth. You might hear just not right now, or maybe we need to tweak this or we need to fix that before we can get there. Okay. You'd be surprised. You know, one thing I didn't ask tonight, how long have some of you been following me? Every now and then, I get some people that have been coming to my webinars for 2 years, 3 years. I think I've been doing them a little over 4 now. So it's not uncommon for me to have people hanging around, referring family members. I love it. So even tonight, we didn't run any ads for this. And I think we'll probably, between all the platforms, we'll probably have 50 people on this webinar. I've got 24 people through Zoom. By the time we take into account LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, it all adds up. And my apologies, I always forget to monitor those chat rooms a little bit more closely. So I apologize, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn friends, but please enter your questions in the chat box. I will circle back to them at the very end. So next thing, after you schedule that call, we're going to determine your eligibility. From there, you're going to gather your documentation. And what they typically look for approvals are, obviously, our credit score needs to be where it needs to be for whatever program we're using. And you'll know that in advance. They do want to see, I would say, income. You got to prove your income. A fixed income, they want statements, Social Security statements, awards letters. If you have a job, they want your pay stubs for the past 30 days. Tax returns, possibly, definitely your W-2s. If you're self-employed with 1099s, they will want your tax returns. So W-2s for 2 years and pay stubs for the past 30 days. They typically want to see at least a couple of months bank statements or some type of account where you keep your money. So I have some people that, hey, I do all my stuff on Chime. Great. Just print out your Chime statements and send them over. Don't worry about the money. Okay. You don't need large balances in there. I am constantly used to working with people that have limited funds. I get it. Most people are renting. By the time they trip over my webinars, they weren't thinking about buying a house. In fact, I should post one lady up, Trisha. I just sold her a house. She was 2 weeks away from closing, and she was referred to me. And, you know, I always tell people the money's the easy part for me. So what did she tell me 2 weeks before closing? She's like, John, I didn't think you were going to actually be able to do this. So she had to save up the $500 for closing. So it was kind of funny. I'm like, I appreciate that, Tracy. It's not the first time I've heard it. I believe I know there's a lot of scams out there. There's a lot of people telling you things that can't be done, but I get it. It's kind of a twisted world that way. But just the same, I always tell people I'm not going to invest my time, and I don't want this to come out the wrong way. I don't want to invest my time in getting someone. I don't want to waste my time, and I don't want to waste your time is really what it comes down to. Okay. So that's why I say, if it's not going to work, I'm going to tell you up front, hey, it's not going to work right now. We need to do A, B, and C, and we will get there. Okay. That's why I say I work with people for several years sometimes just to get them where they need to be, because life has a way of getting in the way of everybody's plans, especially mine. I didn't know I was going to have a business meltdown and somebody's going to steal money 15 years ago. But I look back and I'm like, that was God's plan. Here I am. I get to help people all day, every day. So love what I do. So I could never say that before. So anyways, tax returns, bank statements, proof of income. Those are the documentation that we want to gather. And then the next thing, once I will connect you with the lender once we determine what programs are out there. And there's a reason we want to do that. Okay. Remember I said there's thousands of programs out there? The thing is, most lenders only do 2 or 3 programs. That's the crazy part. So if you go to lender A, they may not do the program that's in your best interest. So what I typically do is learn your situation, put myself in your shoes, and I'm going to go, you know what? From what I just heard from you, you want to go to Guild Mortgage or Flagstar Bank or Bank of America, okay? And the only reason I'm going to make suggestions is I'm going to put you in contact with a person there, okay? Because I want somebody that you and I can hold accountable. Without fail, a couple times a month, I get people that'll call me, hey, John, I went to one of your webinars and I saw one of the programs through Bank of America and went there, and I'm not getting any return phone calls. They're jerking me around a little bit. And unfortunately, there's nothing I can do. Bank of America employs thousands of loan officers. I can't call some loan officer down in Jacksonville, Florida in a call center. They're not going to give me any information. They're not going to know who I am. But if I refer you to the local Bank of America guy that I work with and he doesn't return your call, heck yeah, I'm calling him and asking why. Because I made that introduction. I don't toss out names unless I have people I can hold accountable. I mean, we've all passed out names of people before that didn't do what they're supposed to do, and it makes me look bad. Don't do it. I only work with people that I can hold accountable. Okay. And don't get me wrong, things pop up. It's a bumpy road, a bumpy process. I get that. Okay. But I'm going to tell you where the bumps are before you get there. Okay. There's no other way to do it. That's just the easiest way. So once we figure out what programs are going to be best for you and your family, then I'm going to connect you with that loan officer and get you pre-approved. Okay. Doesn't happen often, but every now and then a lender might offer one great program, and then maybe things happen and it runs out of funding. So we have to switch to plan B or another lender. Now, speaking to that point, I always like to connect people with lenders that don't just have one program. They've got 2 or 3. So I want a backup plan. I want a plan A and a plan B and a plan C. And the reason I want that is the last thing I want to do is get you and your family excited for a move and then have the rug pulled out. We got to have a backup plan. Okay. Now, I always tell people, I've heard no many times in my life, and the older I get, I kind of respect it if somebody tells me out of the gate. What I don't like is when people don't communicate. Communication to me is everything. Okay. Even if it's not good news, I respect it. But we got to have a plan B. Telling me no is one thing, but don't let me get my family hyped up for a move and then pull the rug out. That to me is the worst. Okay. I can deal with no, I can deal with setbacks, but I don't want to excite my family about things. So it's funny because I'll have a lot of people that don't tell their family to the day of closing because they're skeptical the whole way. And I totally get that. And actually I kind of like the surprise on the family. So, but anyways, there's a reason that I always say, let me connect you with the lender. Once we do that, then we're off to we'll typically get your pre-approvals done anywhere from, a few hours to a couple of days. Once they have that pre-approval issued, we're off to the races looking at houses. By the time once I connect you with a lender, I'm actually going to have you start looking at houses. I always tell people, start looking at houses right away. I want you to learn how your money spends in each marketplace. That way you're educated. And when value's put in front of you, you're not going to think twice about it. You're going to go, hey, I've seen enough houses to know that this is a good price. Let's move forward. Okay. That's the type of decisiveness that gets things done, because the market right now, I wish I could say it was a buyer's market. It's not. Okay. And I don't know that this spring is going to shape up to be a buyer's market. I hope that the inventory levels are getting a little bit better, so we're getting offers through on a routine basis. But I'm kind of concerned with the amount of down payment assistance programs that are surfacing, that waiting till the midsummer to do something, could be it could be an uphill battle getting offers accepted. But I always tell people patience and persistence, and he'll shine when we need it. And I've never had a situation where it didn't work out for the best. So, I've had some people, I've got a couple people right now. One person, I think they've made 4 offers on 4 different houses and still don't have anything done yet. But that's not even close to my record. During COVID, we were writing offers. I mean, somebody had to write 12 offers before we got one through. But what typically happens is, in this market, we're seeing a lot of deals fall apart. Okay. So what happens is, by putting in several offers over the course of several weeks, those deals that fall apart, those agents come back to me and say, hey, John, is your buyer still out there looking? Yeah. So they interested? Yeah. It's uncanny. It always works out for the best if we stay positive. So anyways, always tell people, connect with a lender. Let me do that for you. All right. So step 5, that's when we're going to connect you with an agent once we get your pre-approval to go out and start looking at houses. And the last thing, open the door to your family. It's a process, but it is possible. And my final thoughts, just because we're running up on 50 minutes, I want to make sure you all have my contact information. Okay. So again, I want to give you couple things here tonight. Number 1, let me give you, if you go to my website, and I'll go back here, I actually wrote a book that we published about 6 months ago. Anybody that's interested, any readers out there, here is a link in the chat box to get a copy of my free book. Just enter your information and it'll be emailed to you right away. So if you look on my website, where did that go? Trying to look over my camera. Own the Roof is the name of the website. If you look under resources, publications, there it is. It says purchase now. I mean, it's up on Amazon. I didn't buy it to make money publishing a book. I bought it to pay it forward. Okay, so people can understand and read that these things are true. They exist. These programs are plentiful. Okay, so just go ahead, enter the information on that link, owntheroof.com / oh, did I put in the right one? My apologies. I put book a free call. So that's where to book a call. Here's the actual free book. Sorry about that, people. There you go. owntheroof.com / free book. Okay. So you can go out there and get it. So you can always email me or text me and I'll get it off to you. And since we don't have a huge audience tonight, I'm going to give you my cell phone number. Okay. And 248-252-7283. Okay, that's 248-252-7283. It's so funny because I get a lot of people that book calls with me, and then life gets in the way of our plans. So they have to reschedule and they do this and they do that. You're welcome, Nettie. So what happens is I find that some people are very patient and very polite, and they feel like they're bothering me. They're not. If I'm on the phone, you'll go to my voicemail or shoot me a text. I get a lot of calls during the day, but a lot of people can't always hold their calls on my appointment calendar. So if you text me and I've got a few minutes, heck, I'll call you back right away. Okay. I would rather do that than have 10 people to call at the end of the day. I don't care for that. So I try to take care of my inbox and my voicemail as quick as they come in, and even on the texts. Okay. So, or you can always text me with any questions you have. Okay. And if you have any family members that you feel like are stuck in this renting rut, please pass my information along. I hope you can tell through this webinar. I mean, I have a passion for this. I really love what I do. Every day I get up and help people qualify for programs. People that thought they had never really thought of a chance of owning a house. That's kind of a gift for me. So any way I can help you, please let me know. With all the experience I have in real estate, and I actually did a podcast earlier today with someone that couldn't believe 38 years. I can't even believe I've been doing it that long, but it's amazing how much knowledge you acquire. You forget about it. So I got a Zoom user. I want to purchase the condo in now. You know what? I don't. So, hey, send me an address. You got a condo address? I'll throw it in there. We'll figure it out right now if you've got a few minutes. Oh, look it in the chat box. When I did the book pops up. Okay, let's see. Somebody, I think it was Nettie, had a address that she put in there earlier. There's Kendall. So I see Vanessa, Kendall Street. Unfortunately, I need the exact address to look something up. Okay. So Littlefield Street, Detroit. I appreciate that, Chantel. But do you have the address on Littlefield? Nettie put this one down. Joy Road. Okay, let's try this one. Please, any questions? Don't hesitate to toss those in the chat box, and we'll start running into our question and answer period. Joy Road. All right. Detroit, Michigan. 21 programs, Nettie. And let's see which ones. Usually we'll find there's a lot of crossover. Once we get one. Yeah, 20. Here it is. The 20 Joy Road. 25,000 is the max. But a lot of $20,000 programs. So, yeah, same thing all the way across the board there, Nettie. Hope that helps you. All right. Any other questions out here? Let's see. Mary Coleman, hey, glad you could make it. So Naya's asking, how do you get housing commission assistance with income? I don't know that you can get it with income. You can get assistance with housing itself with different vouchers, but I know the waiting list is really quite long, Naya. I've got somebody in Detroit. Hey, you don't have to live in Detroit. These programs are all over the country. So you throw me an address. I'll be happy to tell you what's out there in different areas. That's just my neck of the woods. Reagan, I hope I answered your questions with regards to the $250,000, $300,000 home area. All right. Okay, here is a great question, and I run into this a lot. What do I do if I submit an application with a lender who does not work with down payment assistance, but I want to switch lenders? Is it an easy process? Absolutely. Okay, there are a lot of lenders out there. They're good lenders, but they don't do down payment assistance programs and grants, or they're not proficient at it. Here's a perfect example, okay? Rocket Mortgage. They do a lot for Southeastern Michigan, okay? I'm a fan, but they're also a company that's in business to make a profit. A lot of these down payment assistance programs and grants, lenders don't like working with them because they dictate how much the lenders can make, and lenders don't like that kind of control. So a lot of the regional banks I work with, like Flagstar, Huntington, those are regional banks. I love working with them. The reason they shine so much with these types of programs and grants are they have to comply with the Community Reinvestment Act. So they have to push money to the streets. So to answer your question in a long-winded way, you can apply with as many lenders as you want. The first step, Alana, is we need to figure out where you want to move to and then know your situation. Then I can put myself in your shoes, tell you what programs are offering the most, and then we'll get you pre-approved with that particular lender. Make sense? All right, let's see what else we've got here. Nettie, you are welcome. Okay, Zoom user, did you figure out where you are with regards to buying a condo now? Okay. I see Kendall Street. Somebody put a Kendall Street address. I'll try to get to that in a few minutes. Oh, hi, Mary. I remember you. The condo on Orchard Lake with your son. So I hope things are going well. Orchard Lake, you're kind of in the high rent district, Mary. I mean, there's nothing cheap about West Bloomfield, but there are some programs out there. Okay. And they will work on condos too. So we can certainly see if you qualify for any of those. You are welcome, Reagan. Hope all is well. So, Alana said, I started my pre-approval process with Rocket. They're only offering 3.5% down program, but I want to get a lender that participates in more down payment assistance. Is it too late in the process to change lenders if I sent over all my info? No, it's not. As long as you don't have a house under contract, doesn't matter. So you can actually apply with as many lenders as you want. The key, though, there, Alana, is you want to do it as soon as possible because there's a window. Once Rocket pulls your credit, it kind of triggers things. Okay? You typically only have a few weeks to apply for other lenders and not have it adversely affect your credit score. So once they peek into your credit, you're allowed to go and talk to other lenders and not have it affect your credit score. It's designed that way to give you the ability to shop for a mortgage so you don't feel like you're stuck. And like I said, I mean, it was just, like I said, love what Rocket does, but they don't really shine with the down payment assistance programs and grants. Okay. So not knowing what your situation is, yes, they're typically going to tell you FHA loan, 3.5% down, and then you maybe can get the seller to pay some of your closing costs. Well, right now, I mean, I have a 0 down FHA loan for credit scores above 600. So there's a lot available. Now, yeah, Oak Park or Southfield area, absolutely. There's programs there as well, too. So very plentiful. So many of the programs right here do carry over for Southfield and Oak Park. One thing I will tell you, though, as we're looking in Southfield and Oak Park, we got to watch the property taxes. Southfield's property taxes are kind of getting out of control. So, and that's to be said anywhere right now. So we want to make sure that you're going in with your eyes wide open. Here, iPhone, Gloria Williams. I was looking for St. Clair Shores. I have 2 condos in mind. Excellent. So there's several condo complexes. Actually, we're showing them right now to somebody right now in St. Clair Shores. So Gloria, schedule a call with me. Always happy to get you pre-approved and give you my 2 cents with regards to how to structure deals on those condos as well. Let me give you the link here. Great. Purchase it. Just put my link right in there. Book a call. And okay, we've got, can you use these programs on foreclosures? Well, it depends. Foreclosures is kind of a blanket term. is it currently in foreclosure, or are you talking about going to the foreclosure auction? So homes that are currently in foreclosure, yes, you can structure it and use these on those. If you're thinking about going to the county auction, no financing really works at the county auction. That's kind of a cash only transaction because the county wants your cashier's check the day of the sale. Okay. So just need to clarify what you're looking for. I don't know that right now foreclosures, there aren't as many deals as you would think because there aren't that many foreclosures out there. Will there be some in the near future? Possibly. I feel like there's a wave of foreclosures possibly hitting in the next several months, just the hangover from the COVID meltdown. So there was a lot of forbearance programs and things offered to keep people in place with COVID that have expired, and those things are finally servicing right now the people that weren't able to maintain those agreements. So if somebody's currently in foreclosure, and they've gone through the sheriff's sale and they're in the redemption period, yeah, these programs could work for that. We just need to structure it. More importantly, I need to see what's going on behind the scenes with regards to when did the sheriff's sale happen, how much of a redemption period, just to make sure we're going in with our eyes wide open. Last thing I ever want to see is anyone spend money and not see it go all the way through. The last thing you want to do is buy a foreclosure towards the end of the redemption period, have that redemption period run out and and waste money. Okay. I'm kind of old school. Okay. Maybe you're only wasting $500 on an appraisal, but you know what? $500 is still a lot of money. Okay. No sense tossing it out the window. So I encourage you, call me. I pretty in tune with the foreclosure laws and how that all works. Happy to give you my 2 cents on it. Alana, okay, thank you. I was worried about them pulling my credit. You are quite welcome. So as long as we stay within, I think it's 3 weeks or 30 days, you'll be good there. Alana, please schedule a call with me. I'd like to learn your situation so we make sure we put you in touch with the lender that's going to yield you the most amount of money. All right. Let's see what else we have here. And oh, good. Glad you're going to schedule that call. All right. Let me go back. Any other properties that anybody wants me to run? I saw a street on Kendall, Vanessa Dawson. What that looks like an East Side address. What's the additional part of that address, Vanessa? Did you give me that earlier? Let's see here. Okay, Kendall Street 482. So let's see what that one works out to. All right, Kendall. Oops, let's go back. And one. Kendall Street. Three, 8. 21 programs again. So it's going to be that same amount. Yes. So 25,000, 21 DPA programs. That kind of plays true through the area. Let me see. There was one person that was asking about the Tobias Harris program. And there's still a few spots left for that one. I think they said 48207. I think that was at the beginning tonight. 48204. Maybe it was 48204. Let me see. I have those in an old webinar here. I apologize for jumping around here, but let me give you, here's the old Tobias Harris. Zip codes 48209 or 204 does not work. Okay. But anybody that plans on being in a house for the duration, I don't know how you are, but my wife and I have come to the conclusion they're carrying us out of our houses. We're not moving again. So, with that being said, uh, the Harris Tobias program offers $75,000 or 40% down payment. Only requires a 620 credit score, and it's eligible in these areas: 48214 East Village, Indian Village. This program, I don't know where, I feel like there were a bunch of guys sitting around having a couple of cold ones picking these zip codes, because there's nothing cheap about Indian Village. 205 Regent Park, Franklin, Maple Ridge, Dexter, Linwood area 206, Woodbridge area 208, Core City 228, Franklin, Warrendale area. That money spends real well there. Eastern Market 207, 48227 Grandmont subdivision, nice area there. And my personal favorite, 48224, the East Side, Morningside, and East English Village. You get a house for you can get a good quality house, updated, $200,000, put $75,000 down payment assistance on it, get a mortgage for $125,000, and your payments might be $1,100 a month. So that's like a one-bedroom apartment for some people right now. I know that sounds crazy, but that's really where it is. The two-bedroom apartments are like $1,300 to $1,400. So, and you're in a beautiful, East English Village area. And then 48221, the Bagley, more the University District. So, Deborah O'Neill, the lady that I showed you earlier, used this Harris Tobias program in the University District on Cherry Lawn. Sale price $187,000, $75,000 down in her payments by the time after the gift of equity. Like I said, we're like $800 a month. Now I know she was blessed with a wonderful landlord, but there are ways to make deals work on these big programs. So, any other questions before we wrap it up tonight? Nettie, I will make an appointment. Got to go. You are welcome, Nettie. Thank you for making it tonight. All right, let me run through these questions. Make sure I did not miss anyone. All right. Reagan, Simona, Nettie, Vanessa, Chantel, Naya, all of you. And sometimes I don't see names. I just see like iPhone, this, that. Thank you all very much for attending. If there's ever anything I can do with answering your questions with regards to real estate or mortgages or even title insurance, please don't hesitate. There's very few residential scenarios that I have not run into. So you hang around the industry long enough, you tend to pick up a few things. So, and if you are looking for more information, or if you are that education hound out there looking for different things, there's my books on my website. We actually have recorded videos. Okay. Anybody looking for more, you can go to my courses. I have video courses on the down payment guide, all the steps in my book. If you want to watch me for 6 hours, go through the book and the details, sign up there. It's free. You're looking to get your credit scores up 60 points in 60 days, some of the best practices. There's probably 4 hours on that course, free. And if you want a higher level course, how to structure deals to get in with very little money out of pocket, I find this one's really good for realtors. Any agents out there looking to structure deals on the mortgage side, because there are ways, when you get a glimpse behind the curtain in the mortgage world, the different premium pricing options and the money that's on the table where the lender can help pay some of the closing costs, eye-opening. So structuring deals with little money down, again, not rocket science, but if you've never been exposed to it, it can be an art. So all of these courses, free. Take them for a test drive. Just do me a favor. Give me some feedback. In fact, I should have asked this a little bit earlier. Any of you that are hanging on, if you could please just do me one favor tonight, okay? Please, I should have asked this. I always forget to do this. I'm going to put a link in this chat box. If any of you that are still hanging on could just click this link here. This is a link to Google reviews. If you could just give me a quick review. If you feel like you got some value tonight, can you do me a favor and pay it forward and give me 5 stars? I really want to get I always forget to do this, and my team has been nagging me to do it. I always forget that a lot of people, when they go out there and look and see if I'm legit, they want to make sure that they look at reviews. So, if you could, be so kind to give me a 5-star review for the educational content that I put out there. I need to do a better job at asking people for help on that side. That's all I ask for. I mean, you can tell everything else I just kind of give away. So, again, I want to thank you all very much. I know I'm going over a little bit tonight. It's 8:15 on a Wednesday. I hope that our paths cross again real soon. If you ever have any questions, please never hesitate to reach out, raise your hand. Always happy to give you help any way I can. All right. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you have a great evening. And like I said, hope our paths cross again soon. Have a good night, everyone.